Okay, everyone, I am excited to share with you today a beautiful woman. I don't know if maybe you haven't seen her in a while, maybe you do, and you follow her, and this is the first time that you have joined me here. But I am excited because the story that she shares is a story of many of us, but many of us don't have the public eye after us. And so today we're going to talk with Mariel Hemingway about her embracing every aspect of who she is and how we can do the same. So fasten your seatbelts. We're going to learn and grow together. Here we go, Mariel. Maybe you can dance a little.
The Lillian Mcdermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian Mcdermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyounneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian Mcdermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian Mcdermott Radio Show classroom, please know we've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and my viewing friends, you're watching at facebook.com/Lillian's Radio Show, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, many of us have traumatic past. We have those moments where we keep to ourselves, and maybe a few of our friends know about our past. But what if you were in the public eye? What then? How do you deal with a tragic history? Maybe everybody's reminding you of your past history of alcoholism, mental illness, or suicide, or whatever it is that's in your family. Well, and what if your greatest fear is that you too have whatever curse everybody else has? Well, today we have beautiful Mariel Hemingway. She's an author, activist, actor, and advocate. And she is the granddaughter of Ernest Hemingway, an American journalist, novelist, a short story writer, whose writings won him a Nobel Prize and the Pulitzer Prize. Now, Mariel has been running from crazy. There's the documentary Running from Crazy, but she has been running towards who she truly is. And so for many years, she's been working towards that through self-care, loving herself, and just being true to who she is, to the point now where she can embrace every aspect of who she is. And now maybe we can learn from her experience how we can embrace every aspect from who we are. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I'm so grateful that Mariel Hemingway is here to do just that. Welcome, Mariel, to the classroom.
Thank you for having me.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I've been looking forward to this, and it was nice meeting you in California while I was there.
Yeah.
You did such a phenomenal job, and so I think that the topic that you have taken a stand for is probably going to help others release maybe some of their past traumas, that they can start looking at them and start embracing them so they can truly be who they are. So share a little bit about your background, Mariel, and how it got you to where you are today.
Well, as you said, I come from a very, prestigious family or, legacy. My grandfather being one of the greatest writers in America, probably the world. And,
You can
and
safely say that, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful legacy to come from, but it was wrought with a lot of turmoil and trauma. There was a lot of addiction in my family. I come from 7 suicides. My grandfather, Ernest Hemingway's father, killed himself. My grandmother's father killed himself. My own grandfather, Ernest, he took his life. And then I have a great uncle, a great aunt, a cousin, and my own sister, Margot, took her life in the 96.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had, that has kind of been the environment of my family growing up for a long time. So when you did the introduction, I spent a lot of my life worried that I would end up like the rest of my family. As much as I loved them and I thought they were creative and wonderful and bright, but there was so much anxiety and depression and addiction and all that stuff that I worried a great deal that was going to somehow overwhelm me and take me over, and I wasn't going to be myself. Like I actually thought that one day I was going to wake up and I would just be crazy and I wouldn't even know that I was. And when I had children later on in my life, I was so terrified that I just spent a lot of my time searching out things to create a life of balance, but I did things in the extreme. I think what happens with age and experience is that you realize that creating the life that you want is about creating a life of balance. Mm-hmm. And it's not about extremes. It's about knowing yourself well enough that you can come to things that work for you, because I don't think there's one size fits all. There's not, there's not one thing that I'm going to say that's going to be the solution for everybody. But a few people might go, oh my gosh, I think that would work for me. But it also, I sort of tend to tell my story, the story of the addiction of my family, the suicides, the mental illness and all that stuff, so that it gives other people permission to tell their story. And when you tell your story, it has a way of releasing the grip that it's had on you in the past, so that you can move forward and you can find those things that work for you.
Well, what I loved about listening to your story, and may I say, as traumatic as your story was, I am grateful that you've been able to see the beauty, that to be able to say, I'm taking a stand here, that it doesn't have to be, I don't have to be, I can choose not to be like, and you've done that. You could say, this was the card I was dealt, and succumb to it and say, okay, because that happened to my family, somehow it's going to happen to me as well. So I love your honesty, and I'm grateful for that honesty, because, you hear about the Kennedys and the curse, and you hear about all these people in the media, but you are taking a stand and say, I am a generational pattern shifter, and you can be it too. So let's talk about your first step and your awareness that you said, I can learn from them or I can become them.
Right.
At that moment, did you say to yourself, I want to learn what not to do so that I can do it, that what's best for me?
Well, it's not, it's the journey of one's life is so not cut and dry. There's not like one, I don't know. For some people, they have epiphanies. My thing has been about a long life of trying many different things, trying spiritual practices, trying diets, trying this, trying that, all of which I gained a tremendous amount of knowledge and introspection and ability to get healthier and more balanced in my own life. But it's really about accumulating things. It's like it's like traveling and getting a trinket from the country that you've gone to. It's about taking little gems from the experiences that you've had in your life. So I never looked at my family and said, I'm not going to be like them. I'm only going to take the good. I didn't see it that way. What I did do is that I wrote books. I've taken deep dives into my family history so that I could better understand where I came from, because I think that's very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
To understand that we may have genetic predispositions for things, but that doesn't mean that that's a sentence. Our lives are our own, and I do believe that we're instigators of our own destiny. I think that we can create the lives that we want by having as much information about where we've come from as possible, so that then you can make different choices. So for me, it's been about diving into each aspect of my life so that I can create the diet that works for me. So I can or choose the diet that works for me. I know the exercise that works for me. I know that grounding, literally putting my bare feet on the ground, is something that's imperative. My connection to nature
Mm-hmm.
has probably been one of the greatest things and one of the greatest saviors in my ability to self-heal and recover. And I say recover not because I was an addict, although I had addictive behaviors. I think all of my obsessive following different gurus and doctors and this thing and that thing, that was very addictive behavior because I come from that.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it was healthy.
Well,
But
well, when you say you come from that, so you learn behaviors. So these behaviors, so even though you may not have had an addiction, you said an addictive personality. At what point do you realize, oh, these are habits that I can change?
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes a little bit of time. I think that we like to not look at certain things that we become comfortable with. I think one of the keys to getting healthier and more balanced in your life is having the ability to understand where you're trying to control or where you're obsessive. My obsessive habits, they're red flags to me. The minute I start becoming too attached to something, that's when I know I need to take a moment where I pull away from it to see if it's okay that I'm without it. Because I think that it doesn't matter if they're healthy choices. I think when we become too addicted or attached to something, then it goes from being healthy to unhealthy. So I think the ability to just pull away and go, you know what, I have the ability to not do that. Even though it may look healthy, I've had to learn how to be unattached. And that's been probably my biggest lesson in life is the ability to just go, the minute it becomes too familiar or for me, then that's when I know I want to, I have to pull away.
Yeah.
I just know that about myself because I do have an addictive tendency. So I will get obsessed. And I've gotten to a place in my life now where I'm not like that anymore. It's almost like a memory,
Mm-hmm.
but it took a lot of years. And it's a lot of like, who am I today? And where am I today? I think the process of being healthy is a daily being present thing. So you ask yourself, how am I doing today? Because today is different than yesterday. And the way that we address problems is different today because, the sun is out or it's raining or it's this or it's that, or you got news that may have thrown you. It's how do you respond to those situations?
Mm-hmm.
And my life has been about learning how to respond, learning how to not become attached, and learning how to create balance by being honest about everything about me in the present, in the past, so that I can deal with the present in a proper way.
That's very healthy, very good. I believe that all of us probably could take a lesson on the detachment and detaching ourselves from things that we get obsessed about or that we are just so excited about. And
Right.
so we could all use some lessons on that. I know that Eckhart Tolle is really, really good about that detachment and talking about detachment. So when you first learned, I need to detach, when you first realized I need to learn how to detach, was that difficult for you? Because that's something that we become very familiar, and we do what's familiar to us.
I
And
know.
so was that difficult for you?
Um, I mean, I think initially any new habit's a little bit difficult. And I think that when we get comfortable, the comfort, we talk about like get out of your comfort zone. It's talked about a lot. The comfort zone is comfortable, but is it really? Because sometimes the comfort zone is keeping you in a place where you're not growing. The
Correct.
comfort zone is a place where are you really comfortable, or are you just complacent, or are you just kind of dull to what's going on in your life? So yes, it may have been difficult to challenge myself to get out of a place where I'm comfortable or familiar, and yet the greatest things happen in the place where you absolutely have no idea what's going to happen, and that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, allowing yourself to get there. So
Yeah,
many people, and as a life coach, it's easy for me to be able to see the patterns, right? But
right,
many of the people that I work with, fear is their companion. Fear of the unknown, fear of becoming who you don't want to be, fear
right,
of what could happen on the other side once you become better. Who are you without this condition? It's all about fear. So
right.
what are some of the things that you do to identify fear within you that will help you move towards what you want as opposed to what you don't want?
I'm pretty clear about what I'm afraid of. I think fear is not, I mean, I think that part of what you're addressing is the reason why I tell my story.
Hmm.
I think when I tell my story, I always try to address something that either I am currently fearful of or have been fearful of in the past. Usually it's what I've been fearful of in the past, because when you put words to the story and words to the fear, it dissipates the fear.
Correct.
It becomes less powerful, because once you put words on something, or you speak truth to whatever's happening in your life, then all of a sudden that thing that you were so afraid of, you blow it up.
Hmm.
It actually explodes out of your system, because fear can't exist where there is knowledge and information and awareness. It really can't. You can only embrace the awareness of what is.
Hmm.
So I'm really happy with my ability to dive into things that are scary. And maybe that also comes from having been an actor for, since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
It's it it's really important as a creative of any kind to go to where you're uncomfortable. So maybe that's where that training came in. I
Very
don't know
good.
if there's a fire
Yeah.
truck in the background. I have nothing to do with
I know they're coming to get you, Mariel. So
it. Exactly.
let's talk about one of the things that I notice in many situations where you're breaking out. You're a generational pattern shifter. You're breaking out of the mold. You're saying, my life doesn't have to be this way, and neither do my children's life need to be
Right.
like my life. It doesn't need to be that way. So
Right.
let's talk about the fact that we're stepping away from what's comfortable in our family, and now maybe we lose the validation from our family because now you're stepping outside. I don't know if that's happened to you, but anytime your tribe senses that you're breaking away from the pack, there are people that will hold you back. There are people that will sabotage you. And I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but how do you, if it's happened to you, what are some of the steps that you can do to not seek validation from your own tribe? And how important has validation been for you in your life?
I think that, you know, early on, I probably choosing to be an actor where rejection and being validated by others is probably the primary source of your energy or your livelihood. It's horrible. I chose the wrong profession to be sensitive and need, you know, like it's just horrible. So it was, but, and yet perfect for what I needed to learn in my life, because of course people want, you know, people tend to want what's comfortable for them. So it makes them uncomfortable if you're stretching outside
Hmm.
of what they're familiar with.
Correct.
So I don't think it's an intentional sabotage, but I think people will try to make it not okay for you to grow and become different. You know, I don't have any family members that are, you know, close family members anymore that are alive.
Mm.
But when I was younger and I was doing the work that I was doing in my life, it was challenging. It was challenging, and there's a lot of questions asked. But my I always feel that you don't have to put that on other people. Your journey is your journey. I didn't need to go, I didn't need to make it my mission that my journey become their journey. So my journey is very private. So and that's been my ability to stay away from people that may want to sabotage or talk nasty or negatively towards whatever change that I think I needed at the time.
Hmm.
And therefore it pulls me away from any need to defend myself, because I think when you're going through your journey and you're, you know, generationally breaking patterns, you don't want to have to defend. You don't want to have to explain yourself. You just have to go through the journey that you have to go through. And people will have their reaction, and they have the right to have their reaction because they're living their life. But as the person journeying through and trying to change themselves, we have to accept other people's reactions, but we don't have to allow their reactions to define anything about us, because another person is not you.
Hmm.
And we are, you know, we can claim our dominion. We can claim what we want in our lives by just literally morning and night saying, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, these are the positive affirmations that I take into my day and night so that I can move forward and become the best I can be. But it's a determination on the person who's wanting to become something, to just say, I am my own person, I am an individual. It's what's wonderful about my relationship with my partner, because we are so individual. I mean, we're just completely, you know, unto ourselves, doing our own journey, but then we come together, which has been a wonderful gift for the last 10 years of my life, because I didn't have that prior to meeting him. And so I feel very grateful in that regard that I have somebody to grow with, but also independently grow with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. So as you are going through your journey and you're establishing boundaries, you know, you're doing your thing and you're going towards that place where you feel now that you have become who you really want to be, that you really don't need validation. I love the story that you share about the Dalai Lama. Would you be able to share that story as well? I just think it's so powerful.
You know, that's a story that I mean, it's a very important story, but it's a story that I share on stage.
Well, okay.
But what I will say is that, what I will say about that is that it, and it's very important, and it's really the lesson behind it is,
Yes.
you know, I followed a lot of gurus and different ways of living through yoga and all these different, you know, kinds of meditations and sweat lodges, and did all kinds of things. And ultimately, it was years of trying different diets. It was years of doing different kinds of exercises, over exercising, eating like strangely, following gurus, following functional medicine doctors, holistic doctors, acupuncturists, all of whom became my quote unquote best friend because I would get their home numbers so that I could, obsess by calling them. And I'm sure I was the biggest pain in the butt to everybody that, oh dear, I
You
look
were
back
so
and I-
curious. You're so
Well, I
curious.
was curious. I was also so scared. I was so scared that my life was going to overwhelm me or take over. Like I said, but in the beginning, I really thought I was going to wake up crazy one day. And so I kept thinking that there was a doctor or a teacher or a healer or this or that or somebody that was going to be the magic person that was going to solve all my problems. And it was this journey to India where I got to meet His Holiness, where after kind of spending time with him and him not really saying that much to me, but acknowledging that I already existed and I was already okay. It was profound. It was a profound moment of awareness for me where I realized, oh my God, we're all okay. We're all fine. And by the way, it's only us that can heal us. So I am my best teacher. I am my best healer. I am my best trainer. I am my best nutritionist. I am my best everything. And when I realized that, and it was in that moment where I met His Holiness, but it was also a lifetime's journey. And I'm still discovering it. I'm still realizing, oh, right, it's my gut instinct that matters to me.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter to you, but my knowing of myself, my inner voice, my inner joy, my inner love, that is what guides me. I always thought it was somebody on the outside. And it wasn't until I embraced the inside. And that's what the past 10, 15 years have been about, is about going, oh my gosh, the beauty and the knowledge of my experience is unfounded. I'm like, wow, I've got a lot of understanding inside of me. And I've got a lot of love, and that love kind of it transforms us into an understanding of others. It's about compassion. And first it's about compassion with ourselves.
Yes.
It's huge.
Yes, yes. So with people who are going through, because you said at the beginning when we were introducing you that you've had 7 experiences where loved ones have taken their life through suicide. What is your advice for people who are living with others that are maybe depressed or suicidal? Or is there any pearl that you've taken away from your journey that you could share today?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry I'm bouncing around. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to get comfortable in my car as I sit here in LA, because we live in our cars here. Apparently, you're seeing that I actually do live in my car. No, just kidding. So anyway, I'm going to move this up here. Okay. Oh,
are you going to hold it with your foot? Okay. Are you holding it?
No. Now it's on the steering wheel. I finally got tall enough. Oh,
good.
Phew. Oh, nice. Because I was holding it with my hand and I realized it was bouncing all over the place. I apologize to everyone out there. But, so yeah, coming from a family where people have taken their lives is, it's rough because you always feel a little bit like you were abandoned. You know, and it's a childlike feeling. It's a feeling of like, oh my gosh, I wasn't good enough to stick around for, or, oh, I should have known, or a lot of should haves, a lot of, oh, I wish I'd been there for my sister. I wish I had a better relationship with her. I wish. I think what I've learned that has been most profound in my life about loss is that we
our relationship with the people that have left our lives is what matters. It's the love and the connection that we did have. It's about understanding them even afterwards. Sometimes, suicide doesn't make a lot of sense to most anyone. Like, it can be planned for 20 years. It can be 20 minutes of a bad day. It can be deep-seated mental illness. It can be so many different things, but it's never another person's fault. I think what I learned that was very valuable to me is that we can't take the blame. It's not about that. It's really about embracing and loving the person that we knew when we had them, and understanding that we're here to live our lives extraordinarily, and that because people have taken their lives, or people are mentally ill, or they have addictions or whatever, what other people do doesn't change who we are. It just gives us more information and probably more compassion about human nature. It's hard. Life is not always easy. Mm-hmm. It's great. I think we can lead extraordinary lives and be happy, but it's also not easy. I see people struggle every single day, whether it's with their health or with their emotions or with their marriages, with their finances. Sure. I mean, there's so many different things that challenge us. And we get those challenges because we need to learn from those challenges. They're there for a very specific purpose, to teach you how to get beyond what that little story is about. So I just have so much compassion for human nature, because I really do believe that our lives are wondrous and amazing, but they're also very, very challenging. Mm-hmm. But I also like the challenge. I think that I've gotten to a place in my life where I'm like, you know what? I've got this. I can handle this. I can do this. And I can do it with a smile on my face, and I can do this with a lot of love in my heart. And I'm fortunate enough now to have a partner in my life that just moves me and makes me feel so seen and heard. And that wasn't a part of my life before. So I'm lucky that way.
Well, you've created that. You're saying you're lucky, but you've created that. You attracted that in your life because you were preparing yourself for that moment when you met him. Yes, I understand the concept of luck, but it sounds like you've worked really purposely to create what you have, and how wonderful.
I think that we are all tremendously powerful.
Yes.
And I think we have tremendous power to manifest.
Yes.
And I think I did manifest a partnership that is amazing to me. I mean, it blows my mind every day. I'm like, wow, I get to be with this person. I get to grow with this. I get to fight with this.
He gets to embarrass you in public too.
Anyway, moving on. But yes, but I think that we're so powerful. I think if everyone out there knew the ability we have to create the lives that we want, we'd be dumbfounded. And it's not just one magic thing. It's everything we do. So that's why when I speak on stage or whatever it is, I talk about lifestyle, because I think it's the food we eat. I think it's the thoughts we think. I think it's how we wake up in the morning. I think it's water. I think it's nature. I think it's taking silence.
Self-care.
I think in nature. I think it's everything. It's how you move. It's how you exchange information. It's how I talk to you. It's how I listen. It's everything. And I think that when you get to a place where your life becomes so interesting to you, that's when you become a great manifester, because you become so intrigued by your own your own way of figuring things out.
Yeah.
Because we are all so unique. We do it all so differently. And I think it was the years of following specific things and thinking, oh my gosh, you got to eat this way to be this way. You got to do this kind of movement. But we all have a different pattern. I know, having met you and we had dinner and you're vegan, and, I was vegan for many, many years. And so I so appreciate everybody's choice, because it's very specific to them. And we've gotten to those choices because the universe led us there.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for us.
Yeah, you're right. What works for one person may not work for another person. Like every person because I'm not 100% vegan. So, but I eat primarily a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And when somebody says, oh man, I need my meat, usually the person is, blood type. I don't know. Yeah. I know that some people say, like Dr. Neil Barnard, he's come on my in the classroom to be our teacher, and he says he doesn't believe that is factual, which is fine. But in my anecdotal, unscientific data, I find that everyone who says, oh my God, I have to eat meat, they usually have an O blood type.
That's Bobby.
Bobby's O?
I mean, and Bobby tried to. I think he lasted an hour, but I tried to be vegan one. No, but he is the most ethical, kind, loving person. He loves animals more than he loves humans. So it's not about, like we are so mindful of, when we do eat animal protein, we make sure that they're well treated. As Bobby says, they have one really bad day. But, and but he, like you said, it's like he is a no blood type. I'm an A blood type. So I can, I live on seeds for a long time. But then there's that day that I just go, oh my gosh, I need this. And I think that we have to honor the fact that our bodies tell us. It talks to us. Once you have that relationship with yourself, you can do most anything. And that's extraordinary. I think that's, so I, like you, kind of go, well, there is scientific research out there and people can say what they want to say. And Dr. Barnard says one thing, but then you're going to get another guy who's a paleo manifesto guy. And he's going to say, you've just got to go eat raw, elk liver. And you're going to go, that's disgusting. Yeah. But whatever, everybody's path is different. As long as we're ethical, kind, and loving on our journey towards whatever we need to do, but do it with kindness. I feel like if we can all come from kindness, and if we could never eat abused animals, we would change the world. It would change our environment. It's about having information about things that are good and kind and loving for the planet. I don't know.
No, I agree. I agree with 100% of what you're saying. And this is what we talk about in the classroom. And I want to say that if it weren't for our sponsors, and I just want to make sure I mention my sponsors today, because they are, there's a lot of talk out there of misinformation. We hear about it all the time, fake news. But what is truth? And so just like Mariel said, our bodies talk to us all the time. And so I call those symptoms. Many of us look at them and we say, okay, we go to the doctor and we get treated with a pill. And it may just be that your body needs to be honored. And so this is where we learn this information. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please become a subscriber. While you're there, click on Facebook, YouTube, social media, and like and follow, share, and make sure that the information gets out so we can continue to grow the classroom. But here's the deal. There's a little button that's called my sponsors page. And we have incredible companies, organizations, individuals who have taken a stand and say, we want this information to come out, because so many of us, we just spoke to Austin Perlmutter, who wrote the book Brainwash. And it's all about removing all the stuff that we've been told that may no longer support us. So let's look at like Liberty Health Share and Keep Me Safe Organics, Lily Rose, which I know that you've tried. By the way, Mariel, your skin looks beautiful. Anyway, First Alternative Care, Dr. Stephen Grable, The Pharmacy in Merritt Island, Live Longer Medical, Ground Therapy, who, by the way, I am grounding right now. My feet are on, although I'm inside, my feet are in the ground in nature through ground therapy. And of course, you know, pretty soon we're going to continue talking about Brain Tap. There's so many different ways that we can grow together. But these individuals have stepped outside the box and said, we want to support you and your journey. So please support them the way that they are supporting the classroom. And one last thing, you too can become an enrolled student. How? You can go to my enroll student button and see how you can help out with your time, your talent, your treasure. So many different ways. We need so many people to help this program grow. So just support us in any way you can. And today, our teacher today, Mariel Hemingway, is supporting us with her story of being triumphant. You can take a story, the same story, give it a positive spin or give it a negative spin. Which story is true? They're both real. They're both real. If they exist in your brain, they exist in your thought. Just as Mariel said, she's a great, I say you're a great manifester woman. So, so just like you can take one story and you can focus on the negative or what is, you can be critical about it, or you can be curious. And once you make that shift from critical to curious and say, let me explore this a little bit more, which is what I hear you say, Mariel. And the times that I've heard your story and the conversations that you and I have had, what I hear you say is that you are paying attention.
Yes.
You're paying attention and you're curious to say, what is causing this? What is my body saying? Where many of us are so asleep. We're in this theta mode where we're hypnotized to the point where we just follow, like, I have Dr. Carlos Garcia calls us sheeple. We're like sheep, and compared to sheep, but we're people. And so we need to come out of that box. We need to come out of our comfort zone. And that's what I love most about your story, Mariel, because you have every right to be in a fetal position, crying all day long because of all the losses or whatever that you've had. And for the most part, everybody could say, we understand. But you have gone beyond that and you say, yeah, these were gifts that were given to me in really ugly wrapping paper, but I have rewrapped them.
Absolutely.
You have rewrapped them and you're empowering people out there. So I just want to acknowledge you for, taking the story and being curious about it and say, not me. This is meant for my education and to empower me. And now I can empower others. So good. Like, I don't know if you know Jason Stevenson, but he does the Jason Stevenson meditation, huge on YouTube. Anyway, he comes on, he's from Australia, and he says, good on you.
There you go.
I like thinking about Jason. Good on you, girl. So, okay,
well,
go ahead. What did you say?
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I was thinking as you were saying that, the mind is a curious thing because you were saying you could take it as a negative or you could take it as a positive. And the mind is so interesting because the mind doesn't, the subconscious mind has no ability to differentiate between what really happens and what you imagine. Correct. If you visualize and you really put, color and texture to a visualization in your life, your subconscious mind doesn't know that that's not true. So if you really want to create a story about your life, and I'm not talking about the past as history because that happens the way that it happens.
It is what it is.
But if you want to create a life that is just great, and yours. Be very specific about what you want to do, because the subconscious mind will absolutely absorb it as though it's as truth.
Yes.
So my life has been about telling my story, but seeing it from a perspective of good and love and my lessons. And then it adds to the color of my visualization. My visualization.
Hey, listen, I couldn't say earlier.
Oh, wow. I felt
Hypnotized.
But anyway, it colors my visualization so that I can create and manifest exactly how I want to live my life. So if I were to give any of you call this a classroom, and whoever is here learning, if I could give one strong and powerful suggestion to everyone is really be specific with how you visualize and because manifestation is possible, but you have to be very specific about what I was specific about Bobby. I didn't realize I'd made him that good looking.
Good on you, girl. Good on you. Well, he lives the life that you were looking for as well.
Yes, it does. It blows my mind that I'm with somebody who wants to do the same things as me and sees the world from the same perspective, and yet it's a very male perspective, and it's different because he has a different background, but we're so aligned and harmonious. I mean, I just, and then here's the other thing to share with people. Gratitude is one of the most powerful things you can just take into your every moment of every day. Things can be crappy. Find some gratitude because there's some reason it's there. Be thankful for it so that you can move on to the next moment where you're grateful, because gratitude really is a profound and wondrous healer of our lives. When we find gratitude,
Yeah. Well
it's
said.
amazing.
Well said. There are a couple of things I wanted to follow up with what you just said. Seneca said, we suffer more in our imaginations than we do in reality. I love that quote that was said, I think it was like 45 AD. It's so
right.
It's not new. This isn't new stuff. This is something that when we discover it, it's profoundly life-changing.
Absolutely. It's not new. There's not one new thing,
Nobody ever discovered
there's
this.
not, I mean, it isn't. People have been torturing themselves inside their brain for thousands and thousands of years. And if we were only told that we didn't have to, if we were only told that it's okay to be happy, if we were only told that we were deserving of love, of self-appreciation, of goodness, of kindness. So I'm telling everybody, you deserve the life that you want. You deserve it. You deserve to be loved. You are lovable. I think that we forget that sometimes. We think that, that's for somebody else, but it's not. It's ours. It's our birthright to feel loved and be loved.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. With gratitude, I have to tell you, when I was 10 years old, and I've shared this in the classroom before, but when I was 10 years old, I was at church and the priest said, and I don't remember anything else in the homily that he shared, but I do remember this. And he said, you could be upset that the shoes don't match your purse or your shoes have a hole in it, but your neighbor may not have any feet. I remember kind of waking up at that moment, 10 years old, thinking, wow, things could always be worse. Things can always, and that alone right there has kept me grateful most of my life. Now, keep in mind, we're all human and we have our moments where our emotions are caught off guard. But once you recuperate from that, it is so important that we go back there. And I always give the story, and it always is the story of Jesus when he was in the tomb. And the women went back to find him. And they called the disciples, as the story goes. Had they not gone back to the grave, they would have never found the resurrection. So that's the story of all of us. Sometimes we do have to go back to that grave, that sad point in our life, and find the resurrection in it, which is the story you share, your
Right.
story of your resurrection. And I believe we could all be resurrected, but we have to go back
100%.
there, right?
100%. Yeah, I do believe that telling our story is it's the beginning of you taking, number one, taking responsibility for your life.
Mhm.
That's huge. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. You know, however we are in our lives, wherever we've come to, we got here because that's actually what we asked for. We may not think it. We may say, I didn't never ask for this. I didn't ask for this problem or this illness or that illness. And I'm not saying it as like, oh, I was asking for that. I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean how if you really look at your life, how are you responsible for how it is in this moment?
Mhm.
And by the way, that acknowledgement only means that you can make a new choice. You get to do from now until the rest of time, you get to keep making good choices. You can reinvent yourself every moment.
That's right.
It's-
That's right.
We're allowed. We just don't think we are. We're just so ingrained in our habits that our habits keep us the same. But our spirit is like willing to change and shift and grow and become. So that's cool.
And no, I think it's great. You're speaking our language. You're speaking the language of the classroom, which is responsibility. And by the way, for those of you who don't understand the word responsibility, it has a bum rap. It's like blame, shame, fault, and duty. That is not the kind of
No.
responsibility that we're talking about here. And if you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, there's a responsibility, 100% responsibility page that asks 4 questions that will take you from victim to empowered. So I want to encourage you to go there. And responsibility leads to empowerment and freedom. And the
Yes.
4 questions, we've talked about them before. And by the way, if you guys want to ask Mariel a question, you can always ask a question, especially if you're a teacher's pet in the classroom. Just type in a queue, ask your questions, because this is our classroom. This is where we learn and grow together. And so check out those 4 questions of responsibility. You know, it is about responsibility, but it's the kind of responsibility that leads to empowerment and freedom. And so many times, you know, we use the word, again, you can use it as a negative or you can use it as a positive. It's up to us and how we view it. Now, we've got about 2 minutes left. The podcast will end in 2 minutes. And so I want to encourage all of you who are listening on the podcast to join us at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. That's our live broadcast on Facebook. And later you can watch it on YouTube, but please feel free to join us. And so Mariel, before we go off the air on podcasts, is there anything that is dear to your heart that you want to, that enoughness that you proclaim, that you share with people? Is there any pearls that you would like to leave from the Hemingway? The lessons.
My feeling is, I'm not some extraordinary genius going to lay pearls of wisdom on you. But one thing I can say is that by being truthful about our journey and ourselves, it opens the door for tremendous expansion and into becoming really extraordinary human beings. Not better than anybody else, just extraordinary in our own uniqueness. And and the way that I sort of honor and do that every day is by my connection to the outdoors. I truly believe that nature is one of our greatest teachers, and it's why I'm so grateful that I'm connected to the whole ground therapy and all of that, because I believe that's foundational. I believe it's kind of where we all start. We start being good.
Absolutely. Well, just hold on, because we'll have a little bit of conversation after the broadcast. I am so grateful to you, Mariel. Thank you for being such a wonderful teacher today and as always. And you guys can go to marielhemingway.co if you want to learn more about her mission and her plans. So here we go. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian Mcdermott and Mariel Hemingway wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Thank you all for watching today. Mariel, you are just an amazing woman. I'm looking forward to perhaps maybe having more conversations with Mariel Hemingway as you go.
Sweet. I so appreciate that. I'm so sorry I'm bouncing again. Is this?
We're still, we can say goodbye to everybody. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope that you can watch the broadcast, share it with everybody, and we'll be together soon.
And I'll be sharing on my thing, and you can ask questions and I can answer them in,
Perfect. And so what I'll do is let me just turn off so we can stop the live stream and on YouTube. So we'll see you guys.